answers?
I think I'm entitled. You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
You're listening to the Free America Radio Network. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty or safety. Benjamin Franklin. From the Free America Radio Network, from behind enemy lines in FEMA Region 9, this is The Views Expressed Live. Hey, folks. There you go. I just wanted to give a little piece, just a little taste, just a little something there. If you know that song, tell me what it is. It's a song by a very famous rocker. I want you to tell me what that song is. How you doing? This is The Views Express Live right here for the 17th of April, 2014. I am your host, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. Thank you, Brian Lang, over at Live Truth Radio. He's always promoting my show. A virtual high five to you there, Mr. Lang. Some of the stuff that I've heard in the last, let's just say, several weeks makes me question the integrity of some of the independent and alternative media personalities. Now, I say personalities because I know that they do a lot of good work, and I don't disparage them at all. But I'm beginning to wonder. Just exactly what their agenda is. I think more importantly, who wrote that agenda for them? Okay? Now, I don't know. I don't have all the pertinent info concerning, pardon me, I gotta adjust something here. My microphone. There we go. I don't have all the pertinent information on me to really make any specific opinions, okay? But I will say that I do question some of the integrity and some of the work that some of the independent and alternative media do. So I'm just putting it out there. Because in the last few weeks with this Battle of Bunkerville, or the Bundy Ranch situation in Bunkerville and down near Mesquite, Nevada, I have to wonder exactly what the motivation is or the agenda behind some of these alternative media folk. Now, I'm not totally against anybody getting the right and accurate and factual and truthful and honest information. I'm not against that at all. I want you people to do your homework. You are the only one that's ever going to identify something truthful and honest and factual to yourself. And you're going to have to back up what you say to other people. Of course, I do the same thing. But then again, wouldn't you trust somebody's agenda? Or depending on where you're at, I say trust somebody's agenda. Look at the factual, actual, truthful and honest information, and then make an assessment and a judgment for yourself. But if someone came along and you started questioning other alternative media and independent media people and started really, wouldn't that be the more responsible thing to do? Is to not only question it, but look into it and see what their agenda is? It would only help you be that much better, wouldn't it? I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. Folks, this is the Views Expressed live right here on the Free America Radio Network for the 17th of April, 2014. I hope you did your taxes. And I shall return right after this. America Matters. Enthusiastically entertaining, educating, enlightening everyone everywhere, while including a unique mix of all forms of media, including the internet, with continual live streaming available for all their shows. Their website is www.americamatters.us. Listen to America Matters on 101.3 Renegade Radio, krng.streamon.fm, or 99.1 FM Talk Radio, weekends at 99.1fmtalk.com, or 12:30 a.m. at 1230kjfk.com. If you're into liberty and libertarian values, tune in to The Angel Clark Show, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, at radiofreedom.us. The hottest new talk radio show is on Revolution Radio. The BK Factor talks about news, religion, politics, and more. BK adds his opinion to all of it. The BK Factor airs Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific Time, noon to 2 Eastern. If you miss a show, you miss out. There's only one man that has accomplished everything that he has set out to do. That man is Chris Top. The Chris Top Program on Spreaker.com. Tearing down the walls that stand between freedom and tyranny, revealing who is behind the curtain, pushing the buttons and pulling the handles, sharing the truth one fact at a time. From behind enemy lines in FEMA Region 9, from the biggest little city in the world, this is The Views Expressed Live.
Get ready.
Hey folks, this is The Views Expressed Live for the 17th of April, 2014. How are ya? I am your host, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. Thank you, Mr. Bob Brutus over at WakingUpTheMasses.com. I hope you heard his show that comes on just before mine, Kicking the Capstone with Bob Brutus. Yes, and also before his show, you have Mr. Brian Lang with Live Truth Radio. And of course, there's all sorts of programs out there. There's all kinds of programs out there. And my question is, and I know this from my own personal experience, if you will, from listening to various people, various shows, okay? I always look for the person, listen for the person who is going to bring the truth. Because, well, you know, you don't want people lying to you, do you? So there was a time when I started getting into all this information as far as, you know, political stuff, you know, just the general overall news, quote unquote. Started getting into this years ago, and basically I had become a news junkie. Well, when that point came, I was watching everything. CNN, you know, was one. And then when MSNBC came around, I started watching that. and started listening to all of those people who I would just... here's my point. I would listen to these people and literally scream at the TV. I would. I would literally want to throw my shoe through the screen or pull an Elvis. Hey, bang, you know. I just wanted to just strangle these commentators. They're not news reporters. They're media personalities. You think Ed Schultz really knows what the hell he's talking about? He's the dumbest person on the face of this planet. He has no clue. Oh, yeah, but he's, you know... No, he's stupid. Period. Done. Stupid. Rachel Maddow, whatever she is, I don't know. Do I have any respect for people that lie to me? No. Do I have any respect for people that spin the facts for their own agenda? No. So basically, I started watching MSNBC and started weeding out the personalities I wanted to hear. And I heard basically Rachel Maddow, Ed Schultz, Keith Olbermann. I started listening to them and not really... I believe me, I did not believe a single freaking word that they said because they were way off the mark and have no clue what they're talking about. Okay? Absolutely. And when I started watching Fox News, I switched. I went over to Fox News, listening to them. After a while, the same thing happened. Then I remember, you know, I went back to HLN. I used to switch back and forth to CNN, HLN, and all that. And then Glenn Beck showed up on HLN, Headline News, and I started watching that for a couple of years. And then he went to Fox, and I watched him over there, and I started following him. But I found out that, got a question. Big giant question mark in my head. Is he right about stuff? Yeah, he does some very, very good stuff. He hits the nail on the head with a lot of things. But he has to. When he was with Fox, actually when he was with CNN and then with Fox, but specifically with Fox, he would say things and kind of give you that look like, yeah, there's more to it, but I can't say anything because I got bosses upstairs yelling at me. Okay? Roger Ailes, for one, was getting slammed by his bosses, you know, trying to calm down that, you know, poster child for liberty. And so when I started questioning the things that he, not so much what he said, but how he was bringing the information to the general public, to his listeners, to his viewers. And it all came to a head when I question now everything that he says because of this one incident. Well, there's a lot of other things, but it led up to this one incident, which now just expands my whole thought about, geez, you know, who's telling the truth? And that is, I was watching Fox and Friends one day, the morning show that they have on there with three people, and as they call it, the comfy couch. And he was on. And he told the three people on the couch he's going to talk about FEMA camps. They exist. They're here. I've heard all about them. I've got the information. I've got documents and blah, blah, blah. He said that. He said the same thing on his radio show that afternoon. Or that morning. And then he comes on his TV show on Fox Business, on Fox News, and he gives his little spiel, his little monologue. And then he walks closer to he first says, there are no FEMA camps. He walks closer to the camera, winks his eye, and says, they told me to say that. So, right then and there, I began to question everything that he says. Not Now, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying he's right. But I am saying that there are certain things that he says that he's hitting the nail right on the head, but he can't go any further than that because of whatever reason there is behind the scenes. From what I understand, his show is broadcast over premier networks. From what I understand, he's got a silent partner, apparently, in his business. Okay? And so I don't know. I don't know that for sure. I don't have any information. I don't have any documents. Don't have any of that. But the whole point is this. Should we question those people that we listen to? Should we? I say it all the time. Don't believe me. Go out and check this stuff out yourself. Go look at the evidence that is out there. Go examine what is out there. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe Glenn Beck. You don't have to believe, Michael Savage or Alex Jones or Pete Santilli or whatever. Go out and check it out yourself. Verify everything. Okay? Shoot, man, if you have a question in your head, it's really easy to go get the answer. It really is. You don't have to spend, as much time as I have to gather information together. Now it's just, like that. You got it, And I've had people tell me, more than one person tell me, actually, don't believe everything on the internet. Well, I don't. I don't believe everything on the internet. Why should I? Just the other day, a notice went up from EmpireSports.com, which is a satirical website as well, saying that Mark Galloway, a.k.a. The Undertaker from WWE, was found dead in his Texas home. Well, that's a bunch of bullcrap because, if that was really the news, that would be all over the place. That'd be on Yahoo. That'd be just everywhere. And it was a bunch of bullcrap. So I question everything that anybody says now. And the only truth that I can back up with the facts that I find are the things, everything that I know I can back up, is what I'm saying. Everything that I see, I can convey to other people, but I better have something behind me to back that up to show people, yes, this is where I found it. This is what. And I tell people that all the time. Go out and search it out yourself. It's not, folks, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult to do. It really isn't. Before I had the internet, I was going to the San Joaquin County Library, looking all kinds of stuff up. I was looking at history, looking at George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Samuel Adams. I was just looking up all these people because, that's what I did. And it's amazing it's amazing not only what you find, but it's amazing how easy it is to look this stuff up. How easy it is to verify and answer the questions that you have. You don't have to ask your neighbor or your, significant other. You got a question in your head. Go look it up. There it is. It's that simple. But anyway, I see in the Spreaker chat, yes, I see. Wow, that sounds like Winston Churchill. There. Yeah. This is the hour of our discontent. Anyway, in the Spreaker chat, we have Mr. Glenn from Sacramento. Hello, Glenn. He hadn't been here in a while. He says, I remember when Beck did that. Then on his show, he said there were no camps. Yes, exactly. There are FEMA camps, by the way, and you can go out, and if you don't believe me, please take a camera with you and go look them up. I can put up a link to a website on Free America Radio. It shows you where all these camps are. Okay. And by the way, they're run by FEMA, obviously. And guess who is actually in the operational functioning of these camps? A company by the name of Kellogg Brown and Root, KBR. They're contracted with the Department of Homeland Security. Go look it up. I did. How do you think I got the information? Hello. Glenn also says it was about 6 months after Alex Jones started talking about the camps. Yes, because Alex Jones and Glenn Beck pretty much use the same information. But Alex Jones at least gives credit to the websites that he goes to. Glenn Beck just takes the crap and then credits himself. I've got this information. Really, where'd you get it from? Hello, I just heard that 2 weeks ago. Over here on Drudge Report, I found all the links, hello. But anyway, in this whole situation with Glenn Beck, I don't want to get into bashing him and all that. Glenn Beck said that Alex Jones is looking for, is not talking peace. He's looking for people to incite riots and stuff at this Bundy thing and all that. Let me halt, time out. Put down your shoe before you throw it through your computer screen. The only person in the last several weeks that has been really open and talking about this and really on the scene, talking to the family and having dinner with them and being there talking to all of the people that are out there. There were over 2,000 people out there from some of the numbers that I've seen. The only person that has been able to shake hands with Sheriff Mack and with Stuart Rhodes and with Michelle Fiore of Nevada and all this, the only person that has been out there 24/7 has been Pete Santilli. Go to Spreaker.com or actually go to Pete Santilli Show on the Guerrilla Media Network. He's the only one that's been out there on the ground all the time. And even he doesn't like Alex Jones, but he looked at David Knight from Infowars.com and said, Pete Santilli said, he respects David Knight for being out there and on the ground and right out there in front of the enemy, and he gives David Knight all the props in the world for being out there, him and his cameraman. Not so much the organization he works for, but the man himself. So that, I like that. That's respect. That shows respect. I like that. But if you, and I've been listening to Pete Santilli's been on for a couple of years, I guess. He's that video that you saw in the news and all that. That one where the guy got tased, where I believe it was Ammon Bundy got tased and pulled the taser wires out. Everybody's, doing all that. Pete Santilli recorded that on his iPod or iPad, excuse me. That's his video. Okay. So I don't see Glenn Beck or Alex Jones in the midst of all this. Okay. That's just me. I don't see him on the ground. I don't see him there. I believe that they send other people out to do their bidding and, sit back and enjoy their wine or whatever they drink. But if I was down there, I'd be down there. You bet I would. And that's why it's important to, number one, it's important to question these alternative and independent media sources. Even me, man. But I tell you, hey, if you don't believe me, go out and check this stuff out yourself. So there's no question there. I mean, you got it. I tell you, go do it. Go figure it out, man. That's one thing. Even if you have a question that, in your own mind that came to you, go out and figure it out. I mean, that's you, dude. And so that's one thing. The other thing is that it's very, very important to Once you look at these alternative and independent media sources, and you know that they're bringing you the facts, the truth on the ground, and there it is, and it's open and it's transparent, those are the ones you need to support. Because they don't have corporate sponsors, they don't have all these other, they have mom and pop sponsors maybe in their local towns, they may not have sponsors at all, they may be looking for donations or contributions in some way, shape, or form. Those are the people you need to support, including Free America Radio Network. So anyway, yes, he was the one. Glenn from Sacramento asked, so was Pete the one telling everyone to calm down and step back? He was, only because of the fact that if you get up in the face of a bully, or because that's what the BLM is, the bullies of land management, that's my phrase. Yeah, he says he didn't, it's basically common sense. The BLM has got guns, folks. Why do they have to have them? So you didn't want to incite something to where they would do what they did with Ammon Bundy. They threw a 57-year-old woman down who had cancer. They tased Ammon Bundy. I believe it was Ammon Bundy. But Ammon Bundy just looked at the officers, pulled the tasers out, and they kept shooting them, and the people around him kept pulling the wires out and everything else. It's like, these are freaking cowboys. These are people on the desert. You get up in their face and you'll become desert food or vulture food. You know what I mean? So, these people are tough. But yeah, Pete Santilli was the one telling people, calm down, back up, calm down, don't do anything, because it's basically you don't want to incite something to where they're going to, figuratively or literally, take the first shot. You don't want that. You want peace, you want civil disobedience, and basically that's what happened. Pete Santilli was the first one out there. The call went out from, as Pete Santilli said on his show today, the call from Cliven Bundy went out for help because he had all these, BLM snipers and I don't know why they have all that. So all these people came out. There was a story on beforeitsnews.com as Pete Santilli described it by an author. He contacted that author. The author gave him more information and contacted Cliven Bundy. They had an interview, and after that interview on a Tuesday, I believe it was last week, he told his co-host, Susanna Cole, he's going down there. He packed his stuff that night, Tuesday night, and got down there Wednesday morning at dawn. He was the first one on the ground. Nobody else was there. He says there was hardly anybody there. And within a matter of 4 or 5 days, militias from Utah, Arizona, Washington, people, one of his callers from Michigan drove out there. Okay? So, yeah. Just a bunch of people within a matter of just days and hours and days showed up. And that's one of the reasons why, number one, it was peaceful, and number two, that's one of the reasons why the BLM backed down, because they didn't want to start anything either. But they did anyway. All they went out there to do, all Pete Santilli went out there to do was to ask questions. Why are you bringing in heavy equipment and, dump trucks and all this? Why are you doing this? They didn't want to talk to him. Well, they found out, if you go to 21stcenturywire.com, Patrick Henningsen and his people over there found out that the BLM in helicopters were shooting the cattle and burying them, there we go, in the desert, right where they stood. There was a compound out there beyond the mountains for the BLM. Do you see how much? And it's not about cattle, folks. Let me tell you exactly what this is about when I get back from the break. Let me give you 2 words. Harry Reid. Yeah. Go to Free America Radio on Facebook. You'll see it. It's right there. It's right there, folks. It's right there. I'll be back right after this. Want to know what's happening all around us? You do? Great. Come check out the Diana and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri Talk Show, Friday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Spreaker.com. Have a nice trip. See you next fall. Attending their daughter's wedding in South Africa promised to be a vacation of a lifetime. But first, they had to face the treacherous gauntlet known as modern-day travel. Waiting for them on the other side of the world are an honest-to-goodness safari with amorous lions and elephants with anger issues, a life-affirming visit to a South African school, and an anxious bride and groom standing patiently at the airport with a sign that reads, "What took you so long?" The answers lie within the pages of Please Hold Thumbs, a not-so-round trip to South Africa, a true tale of turbulence and triumph from travel mug Scott Cherney, author of Red Asphalt. Available at Amazon.com in paperback and on the Kindle.
This is Michael Vera with Late Night in the Midlands, and you're listening to the views expressed live with your host, Reverend Wayne Pierce, on the Free America Radio Network.
Hey folks, how you doing? This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. Thank you, Michael Vera, over at LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Hey, you know what? I don't usually do this every day. What, talk on a show? No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play some music. I don't do that normally, but I'm going to tell you something. This song says it all. This was, let's put it this way. This, yeah, Glenn from Sacramento says that the media said it was all over. No, it's far from being over. It's far from being over. The federal government, through the Bureau of Land Management, wants to go out there and pretty much take the land away from Mr. Harry Reid. Let me mention that before playing this song. Harry Reid, yes, back last year, the ENN Energy Group from China pulled out of a bid to, set up shop here in Nevada. That didn't stop Harry Reid. Well, the only reason why they pulled out was because Nevada Energy, NV Energy, owned by, not Rupert Murdoch, who's the other guy? I don't know. Can't remember now. Buffett, Warren Buffett, owned by Warren Buffett, wants to monopolize the energy in Nevada. All of it. You name it, all of it. Wind, solar, you name it. He wants to monopolize it all. Okay? And he owns, Berkshire Hathaway owns NV Energy. Okay? So, that's one of the reasons why this ENN group pulled out. And it corresponds, the day they pulled out, or at the time they pulled out, it corresponds with Warren Buffett buying out or purchasing through, Berkshire Hathaway, NV Energy. So that's, that's the big boy in the backyard right now. So this whole thing with Harry Reid, it's about solar power, it's about fracking, it's about oil. Mike Adams, the editor of naturalnews.com, showed a map of all of the areas where there's oil, where there's, could be fracking, where there, could be a place for solar panels, 9,000 acres, of solar. And this is why they wanted that area in Gold Butte area, right? That's the only reason. And that's the only reason why the BLM came in under orders. I don't know if it was directly from Harry Reid or what, but under orders to take this family out. In the last 20 years, out of 53 ranchers that were out there, Cliven Bundy's the only one left. Okay? And if they can't come in and forcibly take you out, they couldn't do it 20 years ago. If they can't forcefully take you out, they do it with over-regulation, over-taxation, just an overreach to get the land. And that's not just happening here in Nevada. It's happening in Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona. It's happening everywhere, folks. The BLM is going in and just saying, we're going to take the land, get off. And people are like, no, up yours. We're going to stay here. No, okay, we'll just bring on our weapons and we'll pull you off the land. This is what they're doing, folks. This is exactly what they're doing. Okay? Okay. Like I said, I don't usually do this. But I'm going to play a song, and I know he probably wouldn't mind. But I'm going to play a song anyway. It's for entertainment purposes only. I just want to put that out there. So I don't want to get in trouble playing a song. But it's just for entertainment purposes only. I'm just taking a little break. I know I took one already, but I'm going to take one while this song is going on. And it's perfect for what I'm talking about alternative media. Who do you trust? What's going on there? And yeah, take a listen to it. Whoop. Hang on, folks. Technical issues. Always with live shows, there's always a technical issue. Always a technical issue. Okay? So, here we go.
consequences. It's time to strengthen our defenses. Gotta tell them right now that we are still tough. Assassinations, they're just on the border, and all they know is law and disorder. Now's the time to scream, we've had enough. There's no way we will stay bound and gagged. Bound and gagged. We refuse.
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Don't label us left or right. Are American. Not looking for a war, but we came to fight. Are American. Somebody's gotta stand up. Stand up. Somebody's gotta do what's right. We're rising 'cause we're fed up. Got our house in order and got yours inside. I am American, that's what I am, it's what I think and what I do. I am American, that's what I am, and I bleed red, white, and blue. And I bleed red, white, and blue. It's not about party, it's about what's right. Our American. Taking back our country, come and join the fight. Our American. Somebody's gotta stand up. Stand up. Somebody's gotta do what's right. We're rising 'cause we're fed up. Got our house in order and got yours inside. I am American, that's what I am, it's what I think and what I do. I am American, that's what I am, and I bleed red, white, and blue. And I bleed red, white, and blue. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I am American, that's what I am, it's what I say and what I do. I am American, that's what I am, and I bleed red, white, and blue. And I bleed red, white, and blue. And I bleed red, white, and blue.
Hey, folks, how you doing? Hey, I just had to play some music there. How are ya? This is the Views Expressed live right here for the 17th of April, 2014. Over on beforeitsnews.com. Open letter from Bundy neighbor. Cliven Bundy is a hero. This is by Susanna Cole from the Pete Santilli Show and Guerrilla Media Network. Go to guerrillamedianetwork.com. In an open letter, Bundy's neighbor, Kenna Little Glockner, explained why ranchers are supporting Bundy. Her letter, which has been posted on numerous blogs, said, "There have been a lot of people criticizing Clive Bundy because he did not pay his grazing fees for 20 years. The public is also probably wondering why so many other cowboys are supporting Mr. Bundy even though they paid their fees and Cliven did not. What you people probably do not realize is that on even ranchers' grazing permit says the following, on every rancher's grazing permit it says the following, quote, You are authorized to make grazing use of the lands under jurisdiction of the Bureau of Land Management covered by this grazing permit upon your acceptance of the terms and conditions of this grazing permit and payment of grazing fees when due, unquote. The quote-unquote mandatory terms and conditions go on to list the allotment, the number of kind of livestock to be grazed when the permit begins and ends, the number of active and suspended AUMs or animal units per month, etc. The terms and conditions also list specific requirements such as where salt or mineral supplements can be located, maximum allowed use of forage levels, 40% of annual growth, etc., and include a lot more stringent policies that must be adhered to. Every rancher must sign this quote-unquote contract agreeing to abide by the terms and conditions before he or she can make payment. In the early 90s, the BLM went on a frenzy and drastically cut almost every rancher's permit because of this desert tortoise issue, even though all of us ranchers knew that cow and desert tortoise had coexisted for hundreds of years. I'm making the emphasis, folks. As an example, a family friend had his permit cut by 90%. For those of you who are non-ranchers, that would be equated to getting your paycheck cut 90%. In 1976, there were approximately 52 ranching permittees in this area of Nevada. Presently, there are 3. Most of these people lost their livelihoods because of the actions of the BLM. Clive Bundy was one of these people who received extremely unfair and unreasonable terms and conditions. Keep in mind that Mr. Bundy was required to sign this contract before he was allowed to pay. Had Clive signed on the dotted line, he would have, in essence, signed his very livelihood away. And so Mr. Bundy took a stand, not only for himself, but for all of us. He refused to be destroyed by a tyrannical federal entity and to have his American liberties and freedoms taken away. Also, keep in mind that all ranchers financially paid dearly for the forage rights those permits allow. Not rights to the land, but rights to use the forage that grows on that land. Many of these AUMs are water-based, meaning that the rancher also has a vested right, state-owned, not federal, to the waters that adjoin the lands and allow the livestock to drink. These water rights were also purchased at a great price. If a rancher cannot show beneficial use of the water, he must have the appropriate number of livestock that drinks and uses that water, then he loses that water right. Usually water rights and forage rights go hand in hand. Contrary to what the BLM is telling you, they never compensate a rancher for the AUMs they take away. Most times they tell ranchers that their AUMs are quote-unquote suspended, but not removed. Unfortunately, this writer here, this neighbor of Clive and Bundy, says, my family has thousands of quote-unquote suspended AUMs that will probably never be returned. And so, even though these ranchers throughout the course of 100 years invested thousands and perhaps millions of dollars and sacrificed along the way to obtain these rights through purchase from others, at a whim, the government can take everything away with the stroke of a pen. This is the very thing that Clive and Bundy single-handedly took a stand against. Thank you, Clive Bundy. Thank you, Clive, from a rancher who considers you a hero. Bottom line is, folks, what the government considers for you to be a privilege, the government can take away. We have a constitution prior to 1871 that says you own it. Now, you can also go back to the, you can look in history, 1843, you can look into just a whole bunch of other things that shows that Nevada and a few other states on the West Coast, or a few other territories on the West Coast were, I can't remember exactly, but the Civil War was going on and all this other stuff was happening and everything. And basically, and I can't remember the exact document. I will get that to you. It's probably on Free America Radio on Facebook. Go check it. But it basically says, because of what is happening with the Civil War and all that, the states, these people, these territories give up all rights to the federal government. Well, let me tell you something, folks. You want to talk about taking something away that wasn't even yours and regulating it against the people that were there in the beginning? Can you say Native Americans? Prior to Native Americans being here, there were Clovis people. Years and years ago, came over the land bridge between Russia and Alaska, yada, yada, yada. You can go and look back on all that. They were here. There was no regulation. There was nothing. There was land. There was food. They foraged. There was all sorts of things. Bottom line, people, each state is sovereign. By the way, did you know that Puerto Rico is one of the United States territory? Just want to point that out. They've been fighting for statehood for years, and the United States government's going, nah, we don't think so. Because there's not enough people there, and they can't tax them to death, and they can't take 60% of what they have because there's nothing there. There probably is, but you know what I mean. Folks, we are sovereign states. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but again, going back to my rant about independent and alternative media getting the truth with the facts and the actual facts and all of that, and yeah, if you think I'm wrong, prove yourself right. That's all I got to say in your regard. So in terms of the land, in terms of freedoms and liberties that we so enjoy and have enjoyed as the United States of America, because as you know, the 13 colonies fought against King George for overtaxing them for tea. 3% of that population back then fought against the British Empire, the biggest army in the world at that time, the strongest army of that time, and we beat the crap out of them. There were 13 colonies independent now of British rule. And then they all got together and talked and, examined this and took this and borrowed from the Magna Carta and did this. And they were in discussions even up until even up until a whole lot of time passed after the War of Independence, basically 15 years. And in 1791, December 15th, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights was ratified in Congress. Now, does that mean that all of those things prior are now part of the individual states? In other words, do these states own those things? Well, yeah, overall, each state still has their ability to govern themselves, but overall that is the protection of a Constitution and a Bill of Rights of the United States of America, protecting people and their God-given rights that cannot be taken away for any reason whatsoever. I don't care if the BLM is being the bullies in the schoolyard, or if this illegitimate administrator in the White House is saying that we have to do this and we have to give up our guns and all. No. The Bill of Rights of the United States of America guarantees my protection against a tyrannical government. That is my protection, and I will arm myself against a tyrannical government and stand with you, the American people, who want liberty and freedom and peace in this country. And guess what? We will do it peacefully. You saw it at the Bundy Ranch. But you also hear people talk about constitutional militias and who was out there now was just illegal and that should have been blah, 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 blah. No. Those people have their head up their ass. They don't know, they never have known, and they never will know the power of the people when it comes to protecting their own. Believe me, I don't care if it's the National Guard, the state militia, your next door neighbor, or anything. You will protect your neighborhood from an onslaught of criminal activity. And in this case, the United States having criminal activity thrust upon them from Washington, D.C. Okay? We got money flowing out. We got money and support for the Ukrainian rebels fighting against Russia, but no money or support coming to our states to help, these people who are still out there by law, protected by the Constitution, to protect this rancher from the overreaching arm of the federal government through the BLM. There's no help for these people? Yeah. You understand why I'm as frustrated and pissed off as the next guy? Folks, we have a problem here. And it's most of those people who are listening to the stupid state-run media lying to them each and every day. These people want to believe Ed Schultz and Rachel Maddow. These people want to believe Piers Morgan and CNN and all this, that, and the other thing. Why? Because they don't want the truth. They don't want the facts. They don't want to live outside of their little cookie-cutter world that they've deluded themselves with their own preconceived ideas. That's the problem. You want to get this country back? You're going to have to get some testicular fortitude, guys and women. Take an example from the women out there at the Bundy Ranch, the Bundy women who stood up. Now, don't believe the state-run media that said, Sheriff Mack wanted these women out there to, he just wanted them out there to get killed. No. These women volunteered to go out before the guys and stand in front of those people and say, no, you're not coming across here. The women stood up. So I think you women out there better get... You better do something. I'll be back right after this. Free America Radio at USA.com. FreeAmericaRadio.us. What we see is not always the truth. Lies, deceit, cover-ups. This is the world we live in. It is not reality. It is distorted reality. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook and distortedreality.podbean.com. Waking up the masses. Truth, knowledge, and wisdom for your consumption. Waking up the masses. News and views concerning the New World Order. Waking up the masses. Join Bob Brutus as he pulls back the curtain on the esoteric agenda which has been in play for a millennia. Waking up the masses. WakingUpTheMasses.com. The President of the United States turns the country into a dictatorship. And what happens after he does? Find out in the book Dictator-in-Chief by Brian Keller, available at Amazon.com or CreateSpace.com. Eastland Sci-Fi Radio Theater is looking for you. Are you a voice actor looking to hone your abilities? Are you a writer looking for actors? Then Eastland Sci-Fi Radio Theater is for you. If you are a voice actor or a writer of sci-fi themed radio plays, send your information to Eastland Radio Films at USA.com. For more information, go to eastlandradiofilms.wix.com/eastlandfilms for more information. If you are a voice actor, send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Films at USA.com. What is there to do on a Friday night? Why not listen to Diana and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri Talk Show, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, on Spreaker.com. Tearing down the walls that stand between freedom and tyranny, revealing who is behind the curtain, pushing the buttons and pulling the handles, sharing the truth one fact at a time. From behind enemy lines in FEMA Region 9, from the biggest little city in the world, this is The Views Expressed Live. Photography is an art form, and Adventures in Photography shows you all of the forms of art there is in our world. Spencer Hughes captures the colors and works of natural art in his book, Adventures in Photography. For more information, go to SpencerHughesPhotography.com. Listen to Crash Talk with your host, Christopher John Taylor, on HTLA973.com.
Misfit is a misfit.
Samo.
Ignorant of hygiene, destructive, disorderly, and totally disrespectful.
It's the 5:15 with Samo on Samo Radio.
AM 1700 Daytona Beach, Holly Hill.
And Southnet 1.
Take the last train to Boston. See them moving, run. He's leaving. On that midnight train to Georgia.
Sarasota's home for R&B and soul. The Razor Blade Express with Dave the Rave.
Folks, this is The Views Express Live. Right here, as soon as I find the right button, there we go. For the 17th of April, 2014, I am your host, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce. Yes, you are listening to The Views Express Live right here on the Free America Radio Network. You can go to freeamericaradio.us. Yes, you can also email us at freeamericaradio@usa.com. How are you this evening? Hello, Chickamauga, Georgia. Listening to the Views Express Live on 1610 AM. Yes. How are you? Hey, I need to hear from you. Even those people in Chickamauga, Georgia. I want to know what... I want to hear from you. Where are you listening to this show from? Okay? you don't have to give me city, state, country, whatever. You can just say, hey, I'm over here in, well, yeah, you're going to have to give me city, state, because I'd like to know. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me correct that. Let me know where you're listening to this show from. Okay. Email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Go to freeamericaradio.us for more information on how you can contribute to the Free America Radio Network so we can go to the next level. Okay, because I'd like to get out on the road and do some stuff and broadcast live from there as well. But you can be a part of that by going to freeamericaradio.us and contributing and donating and all that kind of wonderful stuff. Thank you very much. There's a store over there if you want to go to the store and buy some merchandise and promote your patriotism. Yes, go ahead. Promote your patriotism and help out Free America Radio Network. Thank you very much. Onward and upward to bigger and, well, hopefully better things. I just read you in the last hour, the end of the last hour, an open letter from Bundy neighbor. Cliven Bundy is a hero. I would say, as I said before, it's about more than fees, grazing fees and cows, and it's just a lot more than that. And it's about a lot more than just Harry Reid. It's a lot more. It's more about how the government is overreaching. And guess what, folks? It's your fault. So don't. I was going to say a word. So don't complain. Moan, groan, and complain that, oh, well, that guy over there and that radio host this, and they did this, and they said, no, shut your big damn pie hole. It's your fault that this government is the way that it is. Why? Hey, can you say you voted for the wrong people? No, you're not going to take responsibility for voting for the wrong people, of course, because you thought they were going to be just fine. That's what happened when Harry Reid was voted into Congress. Hello? I remember the day he was running. Clinton was in office. Do you understand how long this guy's been there? He's a freaking turd. Can you say that? Go to Free America Radio on Facebook and I'll tell you why. Top right news. For some reason, the link doesn't work, so you can't go there. But the headline is, you can go to toprightnews.com and look it up. Harry Reid, Bundy supporters are, this is what Harry Reid says about the Bundy supporters, about the almost 2,000 people that were out there. Hello, last number I saw was almost 2,000, so don't quote me on that. Harry Reid says Bundy supporters are domestic terrorists. Hello, Nevada. This boy has got some mental issues that need to be addressed. He's thrown the state constitution, as well as the Constitution of the United States of America, out the window. Do you understand me? He thinks that you, who support Cliven Bundy and his family against the total overreach of Washington, D.C., and the enforcement of all these rules and regulations by the BLM is bad. He thinks that you people are domestic terrorists. I now personally indict Mr. Harry Reid and charge him with crimes against humanity. Period. You don't like it? I don't care. He's trash. And he needs to be booted out of Congress and thrown in jail along with his two other buddies. Who's that? Dianne Feinstein and Mr. Barack Obama. You're against government. You're against it. I've had people tell me that I'm an anarchist. No, I'm not. I've had people tell me that I'm not American. What, excuse me? I was born and raised in Stockton, California. Hello. Go look it up. Some people said that I am anti-government. No, I'm not. I'm pro-government. I'm anti-corruption. Okay? I would rather have a government protecting our lands and our freedoms and helping us with the peace of this country and protecting our borders than having a bunch of people in Washington, D.C. grabbing our military and going and fighting somebody else's civil wars. That's just completely and utterly stupid. But see, we know this. But when you look at the Act of 1871, which doesn't verbatim say that it's now corporations that own the United States, you can pretty much read between the lines. And Harry Reid had the potential of making billions of dollars off of this ENN Energy Group deal that was going to take over, 9,000, 10,000 acres of Gold Butte territory in Clark County? Huh? Oh, no, but Warren Buffett, who through Berkshire Hathaway bought Nevada Energy or NV Energy, said, nah, that ain't going to happen there, Harry. So ENN backed out? No, there's a lot more to it than this. Why do you think Harry Reid's fingerprints are all over this? Because he's still trying to steal the land away from these people. That's like, let me break it down in a more simple way of understanding all of this for those just joining me. It's like somebody coming into your house, walking in, and hello, Glenn from Sacramento in the Spreaker chat. I'm going to use you as an example. Say somebody in a suit, a couple of people in suits, walks into Glenn's house and says, hey, Glenn, how you doing today? Oh, great. You owe us $5,000. For what? You owe us $5,000. You're on our land, and you know, you owe us $5,000. Wait. Time out. Prove to me I owe $5,000. Well, no, you have to prove to us that you don't owe us $5,000. So then, when Glenn takes and tries to do all this through all the legal means, which Clive and Bundy did over 20 years ago, and proved his side of it. Say Glenn looks all through all this stuff and he says, yes, I do not owe the $5,000 to this, to this government entity because here's the proof. Boom, right there. And the courts turn a blind eye, as they usually do, because they're all connected to, the pinheads in Washington, D.C. And so now this entity comes back with the same two people and begins to take stuff out of his home. Wait. You can't do that. So Glenn stands there with a whole bunch of neighbors and says, no. You're not coming on my property to take my stuff because you think I owe $5,000 when I've proven to you that I don't. Okay? That's as easy as I can put it. That's basically what the federal government, through the Bureau of Land Management, is doing to Clive and Bundy. And unfortunately, the BLM does not have a leg to stand on. Okay? It's been proven beyond any reasonable doubt that the land was grandfathered in prior to the development of the creation of the Bureau of Land Management. If I'm wrong about that, I will correct myself. I don't mind that. But this is what I understand from the evidence that I see and hear. But who is telling you all of this? Is the state-run media telling you all that? No. The state-run media is spinning it to make it look like Clive Bundy is just not paying taxes or paying his fees or anything of that nature. Excuse me? Yeah, the state-run media is lying to you, folks. Washington, D.C. has got you so... The Washington, D.C. minions have got you so duped and confused and stupid and brainwashed and... Shall I go on? That you don't know any better and that you'll just believe anything you hear. Well, that must be it then. Really? I said it before and I'll say it again. I'm done with stupid people. I'm not going to spend 2 seconds in the same room with someone who lacks the intelligence to even be able to tie their shoes. Oh, you're... well, okay, I'm stretching it just a bit. But I'm not going to spend 2 seconds in the same room with a person in a $5,000 suit looking at me saying I owe them something when I know I don't. I'm not going to spend 2 seconds in the same room with somebody in the state-run media who doesn't have all the facts, cannot tell the truth, and was told not to say anything because their job would be in jeopardy. By the way, several Fox affiliate news anchors in several areas of the country have just pretty much on air said, I quit. Because they can't stand lying anymore. I'm not going to spend 2 seconds in the same room with somebody who says they're, for freedom, liberty, and they're aware and awake to what's going on, but all they do is repeat the talking points of the state-run media. I'm not going to do that. Hey, I'm not perfect, and I don't have all the answers. But I've got enough to put 2 and 2 together and figure out that it's 4 and figure out that this government is the most corrupt government on the face of this freaking planet, run by corporations that are not even in the United States of America. Okay? By the way, do you know? Tally it up, folks. You got some number crunchers out there, I'm sure. That China, a communist country, China owns, through fiat cash and all of that, owns almost 60% of the debt that we have that is on the books. Go to usdebtclock.org. It's almost 8 trillion, or 8, I said 8, that was back when Bush was president. It's almost $18 trillion. Now, I say that China owns about 60% of that. Technically speaking, about 10% of that. The rest of it is in trade and this agreement and that agreement and futures and you name it. And I could be wrong on the numbers, but I believe the actual number is about 10%, but with fiat cash and derivatives and, future events and blah, 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 blah. They probably own somewhere close to 60% of our debt. Oh, and that's not all, folks. Russia. Yes, Vladimir Putin owns a few $1 trillion of our debt, or close to $1 trillion of our debt. When our GDP, gross domestic product, gets very, very close to being equal to our national debt, we got a problem, folks. I'm not a financial guy, but to me, that means we're so far in the freaking red that we're not going to be able to get out of it, pay our way out of it, tax our way out of it, whatever. It's not going to work, folks. Imagine for a minute that you look at your paycheck every 2 weeks, calculate that out to a month, and then calculate your expenses for the month. And if you're spending more than you make, that's not going to be sustainable for very long, folks. Facts are facts. Cliven Bundy, to me, I will stand next to him and fight the government every step of the way for his support and the support of every single American defending their freedoms under the Constitution and Bill of Rights of the United States of America prior to 1871. We have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But somebody came along and went, screw you, we need slaves. And the corporations looked at every mom and pop and said, hey, I can help you. And guess what? We've been in debt ever since. God, I can go into so many different areas on that. But when you look at the situation that's happening in southern Nevada, I want you to tell me from where you are. Hey, Chickamauga, Georgia. Yo, over here in Nevada. Why don't you send me some information pertaining to what's happening in your area with your ranchers? I know you have a few. There's other places in Georgia other than Chickamauga and Atlanta. Okay? What's the BLM doing in your area? As a matter of fact, I challenge everybody, and I've never gotten any email, so this is the time you step up to the plate and tell me what's happening. You want to contribute to Free America Radio Network in an article? Please do that, and I'll post it on the website at freeamericaradio.us. You tell me what's happening in your area, in California and everywhere, just everywhere. Georgia, I don't care where you're at. Just tell me what's going on. Write an article about it. Put your name on it. I'll put it on freeamericaradio.us under the news blog. Okay? Facts are facts, folks. If I were to come into your home and say, you owe me $100, you'd probably throw my ass out of your house, right? But if I came in and started taking stuff and said, well, I'm doing this because you owe me $100, what? Wait, whoa. This is what is happening down in southern Nevada. I look at people like Brian Lang, who, I'm an American. He plays that on his show, so that's for you, Brian. I play that song and I realize we are American. But we fail at the very essence. We fail at understanding the very essence of what that means. Liberty, freedom, peace, security, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. That, my friends, is America. What we have now? Nope. You get a big fat goose egg on that one, because this is not America. This is not the country. And I didn't know this when I was born. But I found this out when I was a teenager. This is not the United States of America. This is the divided states of America. And what we have to do is we have to step up to the plate and tell our federal government, Washington, D.C., and all those minions there, we've had enough of you jackasses. We're done with you. Did you know that even though they weren't rich, they were wealthy for their time? That the people in Congress that put together, that drew up the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights of the United States of America. Did you know that these people were pretty wealthy for their time? Now, I know Bob Brutus over at Kicking the Capstone can tell you probably more about this, and I'm sure he's going to correct me if I'm wrong. But they were mostly, these people, were Masons, Freemasons. They were Freemasons from different sides. It was the same coin, but just different sides of the coin. It was the same playing field. They were part of the same team or the same, organization, but different teams. But they were all Freemasons. If you look at the list of these people that were in Congress at that time, and it shows religion, what they were, deists, Christians, Presbyterians, deists. Most of them were deists. What? Deists? You mean they weren't Christians? They were deists. Most of your Christian friends are going to tell you they were Christian. No, they weren't. Look at the list. It's out there. I found it in the reference section in the San Joaquin County Library when I was working on this stuff back in the late 80s, early 90s. Also in the Reno Library and also in the Sparks Library when I was living here back then as well. It's all there, folks. It's right in your face, and you don't get it. Knock, knock. Anyone home? The light's on in the penthouse, but no one's there. Hello? I don't understand it, folks. I really, really don't. I don't understand how people who can say they're well aware of what's going on and well aware of what's happening in Washington, D.C., I don't get it that these people who say this can just sit back and let the crap happen to them. I'm going to say 2 words. Get prepared. Okay? If you're in a city... By the way, under UN Agenda 21 Sustainable Development, and I'll get into that after the break, they want the farmers, the ranchers, all of these people like Clive Bundy and anybody else in the United States, they want to take all their land and they want to shove you into the cities, into little corrals, if you will, no pun intended, into these little areas where they can control you, surveil you, give you it's just, they're going to ration your life, folks. And if you don't play their games, they're going to ration and regulate you into death. Okay? Go look up micro apartments. Go look them up. Go look up what your current public housing offers. Okay? And what they've been offering for the last 40 or 50 years. Because that's how long this has been going on. I don't know, folks. I mean, you're going to have to determine for yourself what is right or wrong. You are. You're going to have to determine what is right and wrong. Because for you, that's going to determine your future. I'll be back right after this. Listen to Crash Talk with your host, Christopher John Taylor, on HTLA973.com.
Misfit is a misfit.
Samo.
Ignorant of hygiene. Destructive, disorderly, and totally disrespectful.
It's the 515 with Samo on Samo Radio.
AM 1700 Daytona Beach, Holly Hill.
And Southnet 1.
Take the last train box to see them moving run. He's leaving on that midnight train to Georgia.
Sarasota's home for R&B and soul. The Razor Blade Express with Dave the Rave.
Photography is an art form, and Adventures in Photography shows you all of the forms of art there is in our world. Spencer Hughes captures the colors and works of natural art in his book, Adventures in Photography. For more information, go to SpencerHughesPhotography.com. Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome back. This is the Views Expressed live right here on the Free America Radio Network. How are ya? It's the 17th of April, 2014. I hope you got your taxes in and all of that and the whole 9 yards, because, you know, they'll come after you and they'll SWAT team you and do all that. Free America Radio on Facebook. Anti-NRA protester explains why you shouldn't be able to protect yourself with a gun. Isn't that weird? By the way, has anybody else had this problem? I'm on Free America Radio on Facebook. I'm trying to... Oh, there we go. Never mind. I was trying to click the link to the story, and I had to click the picture, not the link. Duh. See, I'm not always right. I'm okay with that. From theblaze.com, Jason Howerton over there. Thank you, Jason. Watch as anti-NRA protester explains why you shouldn't be able to protect yourself with a gun if your life is in danger. There's a video there, folks. Check it out. Quote, only a law enforcement officer should be allowed to use weapons, unquote, she said. The woman, you know, there. The same woman also told Joseph that he shouldn't be able to carry a gun in a bad neighborhood because he shouldn't be walking around in a bad neighborhood in the first place. Liberal logic 101 equals stupidity. That's not in the article. That's my editorial. Another protester claimed that 30,000 people die every year to gun violence. And it's all the NRA's fault. By the way, that statistic has been shot down. Thank you, Alex Jones, screaming at Piers Morgan. Quote, people who go out and buy a bunch of guns, unquote, are just paranoid and misinformed, a female protester argued. Guess what? $50 million by Michael Bloomberg, former mayor of New York City, has put this together and is trying to have an anti-NRA organization. It's going to be an us against them situation, people, and guess who's going to win? It's going to be us. Period. And here is another article, which I will post on Free America Radio on Facebook from The Blaze. Jason Howerton wrote this one too. Obama, hat-wearing, anti-gun protester says she'd rather be murdered than use a gun in self-defense. There you go. Never mind. A crowd of people rallied against gun violence at a Georgia state capitol in honor of Trayvon Martin Tuesday, the 1-year anniversary of his shooting death. Hey, folks in Chickamauga, what the hell is going on out there? Tell me the truth. Many of the protesters were speaking out against the so-called Stand Your Ground laws, which allow gun owners to use deadly force if they feel that their lives are in danger. Well, I totally support that as well. During the rally, one female protester wearing an Obama hat told WGCL-TV that using a firearm in self-defense, quote, is not an option, unquote. It's not an option, she repeated. The reporter asked her, quote, but what if someone's trying to kill you, unquote? She replied, they'll just have to kill me, unquote. I could say a few choice words at that point, but I'm not going to. Quote, what an incredible admission on this woman's part, unquote. CNSnews.com Stephen Gutowski writes, quote, she's willing to let everyone know that she'd rather be murdered than use a gun in self-defense. She'd rather be a victim than be armed, unquote. Another protester said gun control only hurts law-abiding gun owners, not criminals. Quote, I think that people should have the right to defend themselves. It's our Second Amendment right, and any sort of legislation on guns or any sort of gun control, all it's doing is hurting the victims, unquote. can you say liberal stupidity? Not on that last one. That last one's true. But I'm telling you, this again from the Blaze, Glenn Beck's, baby. And so you got a question. I mean, I do. That's all there is to it. From TopRightNews.com, Harry Reid, Bundy supporters are domestic terrorists. Simply unbelievable. This is the face of tyranny. U.S. Senator Harry Reid on Thursday called supporters of Bunkerville's rancher Cliven Bundy, quote-unquote, domestic terrorists, merely because they defended him against an overreaching Bureau of Land Management raid last weekend. Quote, they're nothing more than domestic terrorists, Reid said during an appearance at a Las Vegas Review-Journal Hashtags and Headlines event at the Paris, which is a casino down there in Las Vegas. Quote, I repeat, what happened there was domestic terrorism, unquote. That's Harry Reid saying that. That's Harry Reid saying that, Nevada. Continuing, we detailed how Reid's former chief aide now heads the Bureau of Land Management, and that Reid and his son Rory were deeply involved in a $5 billion, that's with a B, folks, a $5 billion solar plant deal with the Chinese on a very land the feds are trying to yank out of Bundy's hands. Now the godfather of Nevada is royally pissed off that citizens dared to stand up to his thugs, and he is promising retribution. Nevada, 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 hello Nevada, and any place else that the Bureau of Land Management is trying to take your neighbor's land. But specifically Nevada, because this is Harry Reid saying this. Nevada, wake your asses up. This guy is a loon. He needs to be arrested and thrown in jail. Do you understand me? This person that is calling himself a senator who raised his hand to pledge protection for the Constitution and the Bill of Rights of the United States of America is a treasonous bastard. Do you understand me? Sorry, I get pissed off when people try to take my rights away. Shouldn't you? Quote, there were hundreds and hundreds of people from around the country that came here, unquote. Reid said, quote, they had sniper rifles on the freeway. They had weapons, automatic weapons. They had children lined up. They wanted to make sure they got hurt first. What if others tried the same thing, unquote. See how delusional this bastard truly is. They didn't do that. And if Harry Reid ever had the balls to go down there to check it out himself, I'm sure he would have seen that. But Harry Reid is a spineless, brainless, emotionless bastard that doesn't care about the Constitution or your rights. Sorry, I'm a little pissed off. Continuing, none of the citizen patriots, thank God for them, had quote-unquote automatic weapons. No one used their children as human shields, as the disgusting Media Matters, run by George Soros, by the way, claimed and then retracted, of course, because they were wrong. What if others tried the same thing? Then perhaps the overbearing, unaccountable federal bureaucrats would think twice about persecuting we the people with impunity. Reid said there's a quote-unquote federal task force being set up in order to deal with Bundy, and the Clark County Sheriff Doug Gillespie is involved as well. Quote, it is an issue we cannot let go, just walk away from, unquote, Reid said. And he also said, it ain't over. Yeah, you're right, Mr. Reid, it's not over, and you and your cronies and your stupid little minions that you control are going to go to jail. Do you understand me? I don't care if the NSA is listening or anybody else for that matter. They can kiss my ass. I was born and raised in America, born and raised around guns. I got the Second Amendment and the Bill of Rights of the United States of America prior to 1871, and I'll be damned if I see another civilian, another citizen of the United States being treated this way. I stand with Clive and Bundy. Continuing. Sounds like the situation could get a whole lot worse real fast. God help Reed if his greed and thuggery brings bloodshed. Harry Reid is the face of everything that is wrong in Washington. America must flip the Senate this fall to end the Godfather's corrupt reign once and for all. It aggravates me to no end. To no end it aggravates me that people say, oh, well, you know, we got to do this because it's, well, they say they're awake and aware of what's going on. They say they're passionate about, you know, what they believe. But I don't see them on the ground at Bundy Ranch. I don't see Glenn Beck or Alex Jones standing there either criticizing or defending Clive and Bundy. I don't see that. I have to question their integrity. I have to question their patriotism. The only person that was down there from Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, all the way through till Sunday was Pete Santilli, a former Marine down there who was part of the corporate society many years ago after he got out of the Marines, blah, 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 all that. He's now an independent journalist, GuerrillaMediaNetwork.com, The Pete Santilli Show, and I guarantee you he has more balls than Harry Reid. I am sick and tired of corrupt politicians. And you know something else? That Douglas Gillespie down there, Clark County Sheriff, he didn't stand up to tell the BLM to get the hell out because that's his constitutional obligation to do so. Other county sheriffs across the country, I've heard of one, I can't remember where it was right now, somebody help me out here. The BLM tried to come in and take some land and whatever, and the county sheriff stood up and said, no, you won't. And the BLM went, well, we got snipers, we'll bring those. And you know what that county sheriff said? Yeah, we got snipers too, bring it. And they backed down. I am fed up with the corruption, with the lying, and with the thuggery and the thievery in this country. Folks, either you get a backbone or you can start packing and go to China or Russia. This is the United States of America, and I'm going to stand here and defend this country with every drop of blood I have in it. And I guarantee you, those minions in Washington, D.C., controlled by the corporate whores that are up there, that are being slapped around by their bosses, they know it. Hang on. Want to know what's happening all around us? You do? Great! Come check out the Diana and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri Talk Show, Friday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Spreaker.com. Have a nice trip. See you next fall. Attending their daughter's wedding in South Africa promised to be a vacation of a lifetime. But first, they had to face the treacherous gauntlet known as modern-day travel. Waiting for them on the other side of the world are an honest-to-goodness safari with amorous lions and elephants with anger issues, a life-affirming visit to a South African school, and an anxious bride and groom standing patiently at the airport with a sign that reads, "What took you so long?" The answers lie within the pages of Please Hold Thumbs, a not-so-round trip to South Africa, a true tale of turbulence and triumph from Travel Mug Scott Cherney, author of Red Asphalt. Available at Amazon.com in paperback and on the Kindle.
This is Michael Vera with Late Night in the Midlands, and you're listening to the views expressed live with your host, Reverend Wayne Pierce, on the Free America Radio Network.
Hey, folks, yeah, sorry about that interruption. Happens. It happens. Does it happen with you? It got me, and yes, of course, it was interruption. It was okay, but it calmed me down just a little. Yes, I almost had to, well, let's just say, pull out what hair I have left. But I'm very, how can I put this? I mean every word I say. You might get offended by the way that I say it, but I do not apologize for the things I say, nor should I. But if in the manner in which I speak my words offends you, my apologies. But I will not apologize for what I say. I believe that things in this country I believe that the ideas and the concepts of freedom that were put forth in this country many, many years ago are just as good today as they were 238 years ago. And even prior to that. I believe that the principles that we should live by are principles that we understand to be our own foundation as well. And if others around you agree with that, then shouldn't you discuss things on, or discuss ways on how you can make a better future for the neighborhood, or put people in city council that would actually do their job instead of take bribes and try to screw things up? Now, I understand, I've been listening to Pete Santilli, who has, through this whole thing, this past week with the Bundy Ranch and the BLM attempted takeover of land, he says he's become closer to God. I want to say that no matter what you believe in on the spiritual side of your life, that is part of who you are. Even if you're an atheist, no matter what, there is a spiritual understanding and something happening beyond your own understanding. And we need to find out what that is. And if you can't, well, let's get close to doing the best we can to try to find out what that is. We need to understand the principles of freedom and liberty and security for this nation. We need to understand what it is that our founding fathers discussed, and you can see that in their diaries and all their writings. And we need to bring this country back to the foundation by which our founding fathers built this country upon. Now, a lot of my Christian friends would say, well, this is a Christian nation. Prove it. Well, the signers of the Declaration and of the Constitution were Christians. Prove it. They weren't. I just told you. They were two factions of the same organization. And they fought against one another. Bob Brutus over at Waking Up the Masses could probably tell you more about that. Go listen to his show, Kicking the Capstone, on wakingupthemasses.com. I find it incredibly odd that people who like peace, freedom, and security in their own home have a neighbor that doesn't like that. I'm surprised that there are people out there that don't want to defend themselves. Like that article I read just a little bit ago. I'm surprised that people have a mind that is so closed that you don't even care about your neighbor. Hell, I remember hearing a story a couple of years ago where a neighbor's house was being broke into. I believe it was in Texas. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he went outside with a shotgun and he saw the two people trying to break into the house, so he shot them. To me, that's a true American protecting his neighbor's possessions. He shouldn't be prosecuted. Those two jackasses that were criminals trying to break into that house got their due. You bet. Do I condone that? I don't condone violence. No. Any violent act perpetrated by some nut job that wants to hurt you, no. But I support defense of the person being brutalized or victimized. I shouldn't even say victimized. That's a total different context. But brutalized by someone who is totally out of their mind. I believe in self-protection. I believe in protecting your neighbor. I believe in taking care of those that take care of you. And if you're around a bunch of people, a bunch of ranchers like Cliven Bundy and around his neighbors, I bet you a penny all of those neighbors around Cliven Bundy came to his aid. That, to me, is the essence and foundation of America. That is what our founding fathers had within them. This is what it was. Now, of course, when you go back in history and you look at the discussions that they had between England and the new colonies and all of this, or, you know, all those people wanting a United States of America, yeah, you could see somebody was losing ground in that discussion, and it certainly wasn't the colonists, I can tell you that. Little side note, did you know that we were one vote away from having the official language be German? So what do we do, folks? What do we do? What do we do? How do we do it? What do we do? Well, I think it's time to stop complaining. I think it's time to stop sitting around and waiting for somebody else to do it. I think it's time for us to get out and take care of business. Take care of ourselves, take care of our families, take care of our businesses, take care of our ranchers, take care of our shop owners, take care of our business owners. We need to do that. And how are we going to do that? Frankly, one day at a time. Frankly, go out and ask. I mean, We need to see that there is something on the horizon that is not going to benefit the people, and we need to prepare ourselves for whatever is about to happen in whatever way we see fit for ourselves. Now, I'm not saying that you should go to your neighboring shop owner and go, hey, I'll protect you for a little bit of money there. No, that's stupid. Don't do that. Okay? What I'm saying is that we need to be neighbors. The good book says, love your neighbors, you love yourself. How much do you love yourself? You love yourself enough to protect yourself, to protect your family, your kids, your in-laws, your brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. You love yourself that enough, right, to do that, right? Do you love your neighbor as equally as you do your own family? That's something to think about, especially now. Draw closer to what you believe in spiritually. Draw closer to that one, that one thing that you call God, and find guidance in those spiritual principles. Doesn't matter if you believe or not believe. I mean, there's no atheists in foxholes, as that old adage goes. So it's something that you really need to think about. Me sitting here getting pissed off and yelling and all that. Sorry, my apologies. I don't apologize for what I say, though. And don't ever apologize for who you are. Because who you are today is because of your mom, your dad, your grandfather, your grandmother. Who they are is because of their ancestry. But if you're just going to sit around and be wimpy and whiny and all bitchy and everything, well, you know what? Don't know what to tell you on that one there, Slick. But I can tell you this. This is the United States of America. And it ain't going away. I don't care what prophecy says. This is our country. Land of the free, home of the brave. Not the land of the greedy and the home of the slave. Email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. If you have an article, I'll post it on freeamericaradio.us. Please let me know where you're listening to this show from, and I'll give you a shout out. How's that? Works for me. Works for me. You guys are great, man. Email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Go to freeamericaradio.us for more information. Donate to the Free America Radio Network to help us get to the next level and get me out on the road so I can go do stuff and not be all stuck here in this room in front of this mic most of the time. I want to get out and go talk to people, go interview people, that kind of thing. So you can help me do that. Thank you very much. freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Thank you, Glenn from Sacramento in the Spreaker chat. And remember, I always like leaving this with people because I mean this. I mean this, okay? All right? We the people have the power, for we are America.